Hey everybody, I think I am live. I wanted to jump on live to talk to you guys about how I research coins. I had a couple of people ask me to do a video on what my process looks like in here. So I'm going to talk about it and kind of show you guys how I go about it. The biggest thing to think about in this market is, hey PD, how you doing? The biggest thing to think about in this market is right now it's mostly about speculation. It's mostly about marketing. It's mostly about the coin being there and available. So I'm not going to get into like technical analysis or like nuclear particle physics or anything. Just a simple process on how to check if a coin's legit, if a coin has an active community, if a coin is something that could possibly be worth it. And to preface this, what I typically do when I'm looking at my portfolio is I keep somewhere around 50% of my portfolio in Bitcoin and ETH because it's one of they're stable and I know they're going to produce the results I want. And so outside of that, I'm going to have like 25% in big cap altcoins, and then I'm going to have 25% or so, or a little bit less in like medium cap. Smaller than that, and big cap are like 10 billion or more, and then medium cap ish are like 1 billion to 10 billion. So you're going to get your biggest returns from the 1 billion to 10 billion because they have the most room for growth. They're not quite big cap yet, but you can also get some pretty massive results from your big caps, and they're going to be a lot more stable in terms of the coins and a lot more predictable in their ability to grow. So when I kind of look at coins that I'm going to buy, the first thing I do is I look at what the market's looking like. So every day I go to coinmarketcap.com and I kind of check the market. So you just go to the website and you look at what's going on for the day. So our 24-hour, obviously last night was good times, pretty exciting. We all enjoyed that ride down to close that gap. But when I come on here, I look at big caps. So when you look at big caps, we've got obviously Bitcoin's the biggest, and Ether. But outside of that, in the altcoins, we look at something that's 10 million or 10 billion or more. And so when I look at big caps, which encompass at least 25% of my portfolio, we have right now Binance Coin. We'll ignore Tether because if you invest in it, you'll always make a dollar. And Cardano, we've got Polkadot, XRP. I'm not so into that right now because who knows when they're going to get out of this lawsuit with the US government. But then we've got Uniswap, which just moved into being a big cap. They've had some massive growth recently. Litecoin, and then Chainlink. So we've got these kind of top 10 big caps. I typically have these in my portfolio because I know they're going to be predictable. They've shown that they can actually do what they need to do, and they're going to get results in terms of a good portfolio return at the end of the year. Then when I start looking outside of that, we start looking at smaller, or not smaller, but medium caps. And so Bitcoin Cash is just about there. It should be a big cap anyway. So that's just about there. And then you look at US dollar coin, we ignore that. Stellar's okay. But these are the sort of medium caps that I look at that are going to be there. These are the ones that are going to get like your 25x, your 30x, your massive returns because they've got so much room to grow. When you have a coin here that's only like Aave, for example, it's still at the 4 billion mark. Like if Aave goes to the 10 and beyond 20, if Aave can match any of these big caps, it's going to, at the very minimum, like 5 times its growth. So you know that this is going to be a really good coin to jump into because it has so much room for growth and it's so undervalued right now. Same thing with like VeChain. It's got a ton of room for growth. You can look at its cap right now. If it could move into being anywhere near a big cap at the 10 billion level, VeChain would be a great investment. And so that's kind of what I look at. Same thing with Cosmos. We've got Monero, Avalanche. These are all great projects to invest in. Solano. And so these are where I look for like big, massive returns because these medium caps have a ton of room for growth. They've already got quite a bit going for them. And so I know that I'm going to be able to probably get a decent return out of these. A lot of these are really good projects. Then when you start getting into the like really small caps, which less than 1% of my portfolio would have these in them, but these ones they're unpredictable. I mean, they could go up 8,000% in a month and then they could dump all of it, or they could go up nothing, or they could go up and down. You just don't know. You can't predict these. These are the ones though, when you do invest, you can make a ton out of. I do like Ocean Protocol a lot. It's incredibly undervalued. So if you do find hidden gems like this inside these really small caps, and these move into the billions, you've got a project that's going to scale to the moon, and you're going to get your 100 times return on these projects. So these are the most risky because they haven't necessarily proven themselves yet, but they tend to have the biggest returns. You're going to have the next biggest returns from your medium caps, and then your big caps are going to be they're not going to have as big of a return, but they're going to have predictable returns, and you know that coin's not going to shit on you. So when I look at a coin, say I'm down here and I'm like, well, let's find a project down here, some random project. Say we're looking at a real small cap. Let's just check out this one. So say I'm like, oh, you know what? This looks like a good coin. Just judging by this, probably not. I'm not, it's moving in a straight line. It's $1, so obviously not. Let's look at ZK swap. So say I want to invest in this coin and I'm not quite sure. So the way I would look at this is I'd click on the coin, I'd open it in a new tab so I can kind of analyze what's going on with it, what it is, what it does. So I know we got exchange, gaming tells me it's probably going to be popular right now. And so I'm going to come down. It's at $2. It's 15% up. It's a coin market cap tells me it's high right now for its price in the last 24 hours. So I'd probably wait until it drops near a lower level. And if we were looking at technical analysis, we could come down here and say, okay, we did have a peak. So back here in February 24th, before the great market crash of February, and then it kind of peaked down. So at least we know what kind of potential it has up here versus where it is at now. But you also want to kind of pay attention, like, has it been able to recover at all? And if it hasn't, then there's the potential that the coin may never come back. The other things I look at, okay, we have a decent trading volume. And then when I really want to get into the coin, I start looking at, okay, I can get it at decent exchanges, but then I want to get deep into who they are. So what is it? It's a 2-layer decentralized exchange. It's built on Ethereum, low latency, no gas fee experiences. So this would be great. It's something that everybody obviously needs. It's also something that a lot of different projects are working on. So you want to make sure you pick the ones that are going to do really well. Like Matic's a really good scaling solution. I look at the markets here, so I know I can buy it on Uni if I want to pay $8,000 in gas fees. I come down here and look at news. So do they have recent news? Are people paying attention to them? Are they involved in anything that's hot right now, like NFTs? And so, okay, NFTs are over here. I start looking at it, okay, and caught in a web of plagiarism, which tells me, okay, this might not be the best project to dive into because we've got FUD, which is bad news about them, which is something we kind of want to avoid. The other thing I do with these kind of coins is I'll come down here and I will look at kind of where their pricing model is, what their volume looks like, what their 52-week high is, so I can see were they even around last time, so I can make an inference as to where they're going. If not, it's probably not going to be something that I really want to dive into. As I continue moving through, I'll kind of look at the market. So what's the market look like? Okay, they're in a decent amount of exchanges. We look at historical data, we can see where they've been. So right now we're here. Where were they? How far back do they go? How new of a project are they? So I can really get a feel for whether or not they have efficacy yet, or if it's just a kind of a shot in the wind as to whether or not the project could be good or not. And if they don't date back to like the last bull run, it's pretty speculative on whether or not it's going to go anywhere, especially if they don't have a lot of press going on. They're not working, like right now, they're not involved in NFTs or stuff like that. And so we've got the plagiarism article, which would kind of turn me away from this project. And I haven't looked into this one, so I don't know if it's decent. But the other thing I kind of go into, and I do look at their socials. One of the big things I think for good coins is they do have a pretty solid community. So I usually look at what's their Twitter look like? Do they have a Telegram group? What's their website look like? So kind of want to go into their website. We want to go into their community. They have a Medium site. Are they updating that? They have a Discord and a Telegram. So I'd look into that so I can kind of see, are they active? Their website is decent. It's not bad. So I would come up here and you can kind of get an idea of what they're doing from their website. At least their marketing's on point. They have decent companies behind them, but they don't have a ton in terms of investors. They've got the roadmap labeled out. So they don't look like a horrible project. Like I said, I haven't looked into them, but that would be one of my first steps. Then I would look at Medium. So they're updating often, so which is good. A lot of projects, if you see them and they're not updating their Medium pages, they're not updating any of their information, then I'd probably avoid them because they may have abandoned the project, but nobody really knows. So 3 days ago, it's pretty good. 4 days ago. So these guys are doing pretty decent in updating. I'd open Telegram, check out their Telegram community, see what's going on there. And so this is kind of what I go through when I look at projects. And if I'm like, wow, let's look at our 7-day return. We've got Luna's killing it. Some of these little ones are crushing it right now. Chili's is up like 1,000,000% in the short amount of time it's been around. So I'll look at that kind of stuff. I'll look at their market cap. I'll look at their volume, so I can get a good idea of what's going on and whether or not it's something that would be valuable for me to jump into. The other thing you kind of want to look at, if a coin is like stagnant, say like everybody is into SNX right now, or even Cardano, which was recently pumping hard. Even Link right now isn't really moving too much.